Moving right ahead, we have Anne. Hi, Anne. How's it going?
Hi, how are you doing? Sorry about sneezing
Good.
in the middle of I
You're fine. I don't think I heard it, but bless you.
think everybody else did. Anyway,
Perfect, Anne. And you're joining us from Cork today, is that right?
that's correct. From North
How's the
Cork,
weather?
wet. It looks like autumn outside, but hopefully
Yeah,
it'll pass again and go backwards to summer.
same. I'm just hoping summer's not over. I think we're all thinking the same thing. Yeah, fingers crossed.
For sure.
Perfect. So Anne's going to be talking to us about virtual reality and some of the work that's being done at Cork ETB. I think another one of the great things about this event is that we get to hear from various different sectors. So moving straight from higher ed to further ed, just great work being done across the board. But it's good that we get different perspectives all within one day. And we'll hear even more tomorrow and Thursday as well. So whenever you're ready, yeah, go ahead, Anne. Thank you.
Okay, great. You might just let me know that this is
Yeah, we can see
clearing.
it. Looks good.
Okay, great. So good morning, everybody, and thanks for linking into my talk on education, art, and virtual reality in our environment. So I'm Anne Burns, as Erica said, and I'm here today representing Cork Education and Training Board, both as a member of the Active Inclusion Support and Youth Service, where I have been working now for the last 4 years. I'm also an artist, and before the support services, I worked out in the community as an art tutor, also for Cork ETB, for about 25 or 26 years. And if that wasn't far enough back enough for you, I was also teaching art for HSE at Enable Ireland before that for about 15 years, which was my first but not last encounter with the disability sector. In 2007 and 2010, I had my two little girls, both autistic and one with a learning disability, which led me to explore my own challenges. At 44, I was diagnosed as autistic too. Despite discouraging school experiences and advice, I pushed against them all and headed into doing some ceramics in art college in Cork when I was 17, way too young. I wouldn't be advising that, but anyway, after my own diagnosis in 2014, I studied autism studies at UCC, received a BA in visual arts from TU Dublin, and that was in 2020, followed by a master's in art and environment from TU Dublin as well in 2022. So since then, I've been an artist in residence on the Kinship project for Cork City Council, if anybody has heard that. And I'm presently on a part-time residency with Digital Arts Studio in Belfast for the last year. So going back to the master's, which is where I encountered the virtual reality, because it was during COVID, it was impossible for most of the year to actually meet up in person. You all remember that. Virtual reality initially was to be just only a part of the course as a creative tool, but it quickly became our only means of connection and education, where we shared, presented, and built all of our work. So just moving on, the images here just show all kinds of bits and pieces of my story. My pots in the middle. I love the material, but it's more the social engagement and co-creation of work that really began my journey, taking me in and out of all kinds of environment, both real and virtual. So the other images around it on the right show my clay kilns built by islanders on Sherkin, where work was created from locally dug clay. The others were large-scale virtual pieces that I created on the Masters and on the Kinship project. So as an autistic artist, I just thought you might be interested to see this morning how I have used this tool to expand my own education, as well as opening up pathways to others isolated physically or through disability. So I'm going to start just by showing you what I created during the COVID pandemic on my master's piece. This is a really short clip from my master's work. The full length of it is 5 minutes. This is only a minute long, where four islanders from Sherkin were asked to record their sensory journeys over 4 weeks. I guess the whole sensory piece is important to me as an autistic person, and I wanted to do something meaningful. It's a life-size drawing in which you sit inside and it rotates slowly around you. So it's a three-dimensional piece. The piece contains many layers of sound, from the gradually increasing cry of the gulls as you first encounter the work, interjected with voices of the islanders, and parts of the interviews that I recorded throughout the process. The image fades in and out as the sound ebbs and flows like the tide. You're in a blackened space, given a sense of disconnection, but also immersion, allowing you to feel like you're surrounded within the island and its sensory environment. At no time during the creation of the work could I actually meet these people, as we were all cocooning during COVID, so it was an interesting challenge. It's obviously not immersive here, but it gives you a sense of what can be done creatively. And I've just started the presentation by adding this, so hopefully this will be okay. So it shows the outside and the inside.
Always a breeze when you're walking. If it's covered over with the trees, not, and then once you go up past the hill, up over the hill, and maybe just a bit closer to the beach, yeah, you taste the salt, like.
I live here and I'm really sheltered. And you just get over into the Church Hill and you turn north, go to the beaches. If there's any kind of wind blowing, you're going to get swept. If it's coming in from the westerly and you want to be prepared for it, because you get that sand blasting. It is really big. The wind whips up there, something is coming in from the west and you twist it, don't you?
So that's just a little snippet of what I've been up to using the tool. I'm just going to let this next short clip run while I chat. It is silent anyway. It is showing children and I wanted to show older learners, but the content was the most suitable. So please excuse that anyway. So I'm just going to let that run very quickly as well. Okay, so as I transitioned into my new role within active inclusion, I knew that my interests lay very much with neurodiversity, education, and really exploring the technology as far as I could push it. In 2022, I was part of an Erasmus project along with Carol Neenan, which looked at the use of virtual reality as a tool promoting inclusion and teaching FET staff to teach SEN students within the area of work-based learning. Carol was involved in the writing of the large e-compendium, and I was part of the training programme along with staff from 4 or 5 other different European countries. I began to roll out the training to staff as well as students among our Youth Reach students centres on my return, as I felt that they would really connect with the students who are already so digitally literate and aware. Meeting young people where they're at is so important. The students put on the hand controllers like gloves without fear, in fact with total confidence. And I was able to talk the staff around and how to use it as an educational tool, just in the same way as they would use Google in everyday classroom. Okay. VR is already widely used in science, in healthcare, architecture, gardening, and even auctioneering. When my own dad was in hospice care a couple of years ago, I brought a VR headset in to help him explore places he had never seen and revisit some cherished memories. It brought him joy and connection in his final days. VR is also used in nursing homes to help dementia patients recall memories. As educators, knowing your students means knowing what will ignite their imagination, whether it's exploring Mars, climbing Mount Etna, or entering Tutankhamun's tomb. I once used a VR owl handling video with a non-verbal child obsessed with owls, and it sparked an outpouring of words, sounds, and excitement. Creative minds are now filming Leaving Cert plays in VR, allowing students to be immersed in the material. This isn't just for neurodivergent learners. It benefits everyone, and you don't need a headset for every student. 1 or 2 can be enough with content cast to the whole class. When it comes to disability, it can instantly connect people that are isolated through mobility challenges. It also offers alternatives in every subject when it comes to offering an immersive approach to learning. Superb not just for neurodivergent learners, as I said, but beneficial for everyone. There are some amazing educational apps out there now, even since when I started in the beginning, helping things with interview skills, public speaking, languages, and mental health and relaxation. Good practice for us all. For people who have the possibility to create their own content, there are also great possibilities around to be able to predict anxiety-induced situations like medical appointments or workplace and placement opportunities, where 360 videos can be made and shown back to the students where they can experience an environment prior to a visit. Finally, I'm just going to show you a snapshot of some creative projects that I have been engaged with using VR in youth services. So in conjunction with Cork ETB Youth Services and LCYP, the Local Creative Youth Partnership, and Creative Ireland, I travelled to Sherkin Island once again to visit and work with some amazing Ukrainian families who now call the island their home. The remit was for me to look at the mythology and environment of the island and to get the children to work with this over 4 to 6 weeks. The older teens would then respond to images in a virtual capacity using LiDAR scanning and 3D drawing and as much technology as we could muster up. My initial plan was to get the teens to build their own environments, but this was a little ambitious and required too many new skills, and it was just too much excitement on my part. So we just used some pre-made space templates where we created an amazing gallery of work that could be shared both on an online web platform as well as in the headsets for a fully immersive experience. Each week had a different theme, working with flora, fauna, mythology, sea life, and boats. We used drawings, Play-Doh, clay, grass, seaweed, stones, sand, photography, phones, everything we could gather, the work was scaled up and transported into magical virtual environments for everybody. One of the most important parts of this project for me was that I wanted it to be sustainable. Phase 1 would be the engagement with the variety of rurally and physically isolated groups and the creation of many spaces through drama, music, or art-based. Phase 2 would be to link these spaces to one another in order for the groups to see the work of others. And Phase 3 would have to be the spaces seen on the web through libraries, perhaps, community groups, schools, etc., and in person on headsets through sharing of links for those who could. Phase 4, I envisaged in the opening up of projects into the European youth group space where they could meet each other and in the spaces created as a means of education and sharing ideas. This one was the second of these projects, a very different Ukrainian group down in Youghal in East Cork, living at the Quality Hotel. This time we collaborated with YMCA and youth worker and artist Emer Barrett, and I worked together with her on this one. The kids had very different interests this time, and we really tried to focus in on what they wanted to do. We focused on the history of Youghal to begin with, and because we were located on the beach, there were lots of sand sculptures, chalk images, and scanning of local landmarks. We had a lot of fun with the teens in this one. It was quite hard to engage them in the beginning, though. And this was the final of the group so far, and it was formatted a little different. I'll just leave that on the screen for you there to read. You and I all know how important it is that we keep up our connection with nature. As interested I am in VR, I'm absolutely committed to the work that we continue to do with our environment directly. It is, after all, what our bodies are naturally attuned to. We all love daylight, not fluorescent. We love the sea, the forests, walking in the garden, a simple walk. And that's what slows down our hearts and our blood pressure and releases the happy endorphins. I'm not trying to stop promoting this kind of work. I just believe that we need to keep it up. It's already happening. The future is now, and if we can capture it by capturing a few more learners, by introducing a new and exciting tool that will keep them connected to the environment, then that can't be a bad thing, surely. I hope you enjoyed this presentation and that I didn't waffle on too much. Thanks for your patience. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And really wonderful work being done and across a wide range of areas too. It's not just in one area that this technology is being used. So really wonderful work.
Yeah, I'm sure you can see, though, the groups that I was working with weren't specifically disability targeted. You could see how bringing a piece of equipment like this into a disability sector can really bring people together that are isolated through any number of challenges, really. So there's huge possibilities.
Definitely, yeah. And I think a lot's to come as well. Like we're only, I think, just scratching the surface of what can be done.
And it's really hard to keep up with, Erica. It's changing.
Totally is.
I try not to try doing that because you'd end up
get stuck. Yeah, and I think that's why these types of events help when we can hear hands-on examples of what is being done, and it's not an overwhelming space where there's so much being thrown at us. I think these types of events really help understand what's happening. Thank you so much. We might just open it up to any questions. I think there are a few minutes remaining. So here's one here from Joanne. Are there any concerns raised around children eyesight and use of VR devices within project teams or schools?
For sure, like all of the headsets have advice really around not using them for children under 13. And when we were creating a lot of that work, a lot of them were very small. And so you might have seen in one of the images that we had a lot of capacity to cast the work onto the screen, onto a bigger screen, so that the smallies could see it on a big screen as well. And now we did let them have a quick look, but literally just a minute or two. But it is advised not to use them under 13. So we would adhere to that. And we would work with a lot of youth organizations, and YMCA and Feroiga also have their own policies around this. And some of them don't let them use them until they're a little bit older, in fact.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. And might just leave the floor open for questions. If anyone has some, feel free to raise your hand as well, and we can unmute you or ask them in the chat. But I also just want to say how wonderful that artwork was, your masters there at the beginning. That's wonderful to see. And you could really, and you could feel like you were at the beach. I felt like I was at the beach.
We'd all do it going to the beach today, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Bit of sun would be nice.
There was one question there from a participant that came in direct there. It says, did the sensory aspect of VR help learners with realization of real life scenarios? And then they say, very interesting, thanks.
I missed the first part of the question. Did it what? Sorry?
Did the sensory aspect of the VR help learners with the realization of real life scenarios? One there for you.
Yeah. When I was actually designing that particular project for the masters, it was really important for me to not just be pulling, just because it was a time when I was doing my masters, that I wasn't just looking for something from them. I really wanted them to focus on something that would be quite meaningful to them when I suppose everybody's mental health was in trouble, and I felt to focus on something that would make them feel better sensory wise. So everything that was gathered and all the sounds and all the information and all the images came directly from the participants, and I can only presume that the fact that they put forward the pieces that they did, that they were very connected to the sensory journey themselves that they were making every day. We were all caught in a bit of a pattern of trying to motivate ourselves. So they did all feedback to me that focusing on something like the sensory changes on the island during this time really gave them a focus. So I believe it was a positive experience.
Yeah, and probably an outlet, and when it was such a hard time for a lot of people, a way for people to express themselves, get out of the negative space.
Well, they're all still talking to me anyway, so hopefully.
It's a good sign. Perfect. Thank you so much, Anne. Lots of really good positive comments. Oh, here's another question from Rosalind. Are there good places to get different content for the VR, or is there a library, for example? So Rosalind says they use something at home, but wonder how to get access to better opportunities to use it in different ways.
Sure. This is something a lot of teachers will ask me. They'll be saying, where are the educational apps? And what I say is, look at your own students. So if John is interested in geography and he's interested in volcanoes, then, in the same way that you would prepare a class or information on the volcanoes, you would look this up, and there are lots and lots of free apps within the headsets when you buy them. So for instance, the MetaQuest that I use has a lot of free apps. And YouTube VR is a brilliant resource that you can literally, in the same way as you would Google on your computer, if you're looking for something about volcanoes or whatever subject that you're looking for, then that's where to Google it, and it will go directly into the space. So some of the videos are 360 and some of them are 180, and it depends completely on who has filmed them. In the same way, they're in the public realm. When you're looking at working with students, I would always say to the educators, you need to police that in the same way as you wouldn't just give free rein to your 5-year-old looking at YouTube. So I would set up the information from them. But there's an awful lot of free apps in the same way as you'd have on your phone. So there's just a huge amount, and there was only about 10 or 15 of them when I bought it first, and there are hundreds now of free ones. And even the ones that are paid for, they're a tenner maybe, and you can use it with so many students then. So I think it's quite good value actually.
Yeah, and I think that point about listening to what the students are into and catering it to them is huge. Like you said, every student has their own interest, and if it's something that they're passionate about, you can open up horizons.
And even in a class, Erica, not everybody wants to put on the headset. You'll always have the ones who are keen and bursting to put them on, and let them put it on, but you can cast it to the rest of the class. You still have people interacting and engaging, and those who just want to sit and look at the screen, that's absolutely fine too. So you don't, not a huge cost to put on this kind of extra educational piece.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Oh, one more question. They even said their last question, I promise. Scanning devices you gave to students to go out and use. So what were the scanning devices that you were giving to students? I believe that's the question.
Yeah, sure. On an iPad Pro, there's a LiDAR scanning facility, and Scaniverse is the one that I use. But I had everybody else out with Polycam, which is free, and you can get it on your phone, or Magiscan. And it's really brilliant, and it will scan anything 3D as long as it doesn't have a reflection. That's a tip, but you can then load them onto any kind of Blender or any kind of software that you use for making 3D images and building content on the computer as well. But Polycam is a brilliant one, and Magiscan is a great one. All free.
Perfect. Perfect. And yeah, that's brilliant that a lot of these are free or at minimal cost too. Yeah, very good tips. Thank you so much, Anne. Once again, it's wonderful to hear your perspective. And like I said, I think it's just scratching at the surface and there's a lot to come in the future. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you again.